Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Craig. I'm one of your recovery coaches, and today we have one of our participants here, Brother Will. What's up, Will?
What's up, Rich?
All right. So today we're going to be talking about something I thought was very interesting. Reason being I say interesting is that a lot of times we talk about recovery aspect, and so we're still gonna stay in the same idea. However, we're going to talk about the sobriety aspect, and so I thought of this topic. As you can see, it's rolling across the screen. Sober isn't boring. A lot of times we think about being in recovery, we can't have fun no more. Life is stale. Life is, corny. But this article and what I believe that is a false notion. So we want to dispel that myth that sobriety or being sober is boring. And so as the article, so the screen says, sober isn't boring, reason to love sobriety. And so I'm gonna read the introduction a little bit before we get into it, Will, and then we'll move on. All right. It says living in sobriety isn't anything but boring. Is anything but boring. Whether you're newly sober or sober curious, here are just some of the reasons to love being sober. The idea of sobriety can be terrifying. One big reason people feel so afraid of sobriety is because of what they see in the media, pop culture, and even more people they know on social media, right? And so it says, there's the sense that if you're not using drug or alcohol, someone's life is boring or uninteresting. There's the misconception that if you're sober, you aren't fun. You won't be able to enjoy your life to the fullest, and you'll have trouble forming relationships. I heard this plenty of times. I'm living my best life. I'm living to the fullest, and then you see what? You see somebody, either they smoking, they might be on a trip, they might be in the Bahamas, they might be in Dubai, they might have a drink, and so they saying they living their best life. But we're here to say that you could be in Dubai and the Bahamas, and you ain't got to take one sip of alcohol or one puff of marijuana. So, or hard drugs as well, because a lot of times when I was coming up, it was known that marijuana and alcohol was the gateway drug. I don't know how they classify it now, because now they have these different classifications. But it also, to me, I think it still lead up to sniffing cocaine, sniffing heroin, taking pills, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want to scare nobody out there for my younger audience, but we have to keep it real or grassroots. We have to keep it solid so that people would know that this thing called addiction is a disease, but it's also a real lived disease. All right? And so let's get right into it, man. Without further ado, let's talk about it. So the first thing we want to talk about, there's life beyond addiction. I'm going to read it, and it says, when you're sober, your life doesn't end. In fact, many people feel that it's just beginning. Life after the addiction allows you to feel more in control of your activities and your relationships. Everything in your life can feel more manageable without the effects of alcohol and drugs. A better life in recovery might include new relationships with other sober people, more opportunities to enjoy the things you love with a clear mind, and less of the drama and problems that can seem to follow you around when drugs and alcohol are involved. Life after addiction might also mean you have more professional success and new creative outlets that you discover when drugs and alcohol aren't occupying all of your time. So I know for me, from lived experience, someone who's in recovery, who lived a life of lifestyles of addiction. A lot of times, my thought process was cloudy, my judgment was thrown off, my perception wasn't clear. And so this article says, life, there is life beyond addiction. So just want to instill some positive things that deals with uh, positive things that deal with sobriety. And so we are human, and so we do make mistakes, we do relapse, we do have setbacks, but that doesn't mean that you must give up not striving for sobriety, right? The next one we're going to talk about, and you with me, well?
Yeah.
It says joy of memories and the present moment. Joy of memories and the present moment. And so the article says, we hear a lot about practicing mindfulness, not just in the recovery community, but in mental health in general. Practicing mindfulness means that you're focused on the present moment and enjoying it for all that it is, rather than thinking about the past or the future. When you're using drugs or alcohol, you can feel like you're skating through life, but never really feeling or being in any other moments. Living a drug-free life or an alcohol-free life means not only that you can be present, but that you remember everything your life in a clear-headed way. You can take in every second and not feel like your life is passing you by in a whirlwind of blurred memories. And so when I was reading that, I just thought about the idea of clarity, you know, being in the moment, not having a foggy perception of what's going on. A lot of times when we high, I know when I was high, I used to get paranoid. You know, like not like schizoid, but I used to get that too when I started using harder drugs. But when I used to smoke a lot of reefer, showing my age, when I used to smoke a lot of trees or tron, whatever the terminology is, black, whatever they call it now, what they call marijuana now, street lingo. Weed, gas, loud. And so when I used to smoke marijuana, I used to get paranoid. I used to smoke so much, you know, and I got to the point where I used to be around a lot of Jamaicans. Not no, I want everybody to know, rude boy, all those West Indian, all my West Indian people, no bad light on you. But I used to sell marijuana as well as smoke it. But a lot of times I used to smoke so much, man. I used to be paranoid to the fact that, it's just like I felt like I was stuck, man. You know what I mean? And so this article reminds me of those moments where, as it says, don't think that life is just passing you by or you just residing in a whirlwind. And so that's how I was feeling at the time. Like, man, I'm just here getting the munchies. I'm sitting right here, everybody doing whatever they doing, and I'm just, getting high. And I smoked so much that I couldn't even get high to me. And that's what they call when your body become immune to it or you
High
tolerance. Man, you small young man, that high tolerance. So my tolerance level had got to the point where, I would smoke so much and I was like, oh, well,
Yeah, it ain't working no more.
It ain't working no more. Exactly. So that's where I was at. And so now when I go out to events, I'm not paranoid. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to worry about that tolerance level. Only thing now is like building new relationships. because a lot of times before I used to have the mindset, in order for me to have a good time, I had to be around people who were doing what I was doing. And so now, those who I thought was cornballs or whatever, or events that I thought was corny, now it's more like readjusting.
Okay.
Being around people who are sober and being safe at the same time and just having a good time, because now I still listen to music, whether it's R&B, hip hop, whatever, reggae, whatever. If it's music that I like and I like dancing to it, I dance to it. And so I don't have to worry about, somebody, getting high just to have a good time. I can go on the dance floor, dance, my little bird dance, Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not an Eagles fan, but shout out to the Eagles. Me and my wife, we go on the dance floor and we do our little bird dancing. So that's the fun we have. All right, let's move on, man. Thanks for sharing. So now we want to talk about no more hangovers or blackouts. I know from people that drink a lot, these are some of the characteristic or some of the things that they experience when it comes to hangovers or blackouts. So the article says there are many effects of using drugs or alcohol that go beyond feeling high or drunk. There are alcohol blackouts, meaning you don't remember anything that happens. When you're in recovery, you don't have to think about the effects of hangovers or blackouts. So true. You can remember everything and not feel that sense of terror of waking up and not remembering what you said or did the previous night. I never experienced that. You ever experienced that?
Not the blackouts, but the blackouts, because when I used to not, like when I wake up and don't smoke, my mood changes.
Your mood changes.
Getting into arguments with my wife and stuff like that. My appetite changed, everything.
Yeah. And like marijuana, it says burn your brain cells. Yeah. A lot of times I used to forget where I put stuff. Where I put that? Well, where's my money at? And I'm paranoid. Like, man, I hope so and so ain't get me. We go to and I'm not glorifying my addiction, but a lot of times we used to go to the hotel. We used to call it the motel, and so we used to go there. And so a lot of times, if we were people that we don't trust or who just as grimy as I am, a lot of times we have to stash some money, make sure that, they don't know where it's at, all this stuff. So now that I have a clear mind and clear head, I ain't got to worry about stashing my money or being around somebody grimy. So I try not, and I'm working on myself to not be grimy. So I don't think I'm
places and things.
Huh?
People, places, and things.
People, places, and things. Yeah, we were talking about that the other time, right?
Yeah.
People, places, and things. And so when you're around people that you trust, and they can trust you, you can lay yourself down and come right back to it, or they can lay their stuff down, they can come right back to it, and everything is hunky-dory. And so that deal with remind me of integrity. When I was in Talbot Hall, like once you go through prison, we call it assessment center. Once you get ready to come home, you go to a place called Talbot Hall or Bull Robinson. I went to Talbot Hall, and they used to have these signs all over the wall, and a lot of them says love, loyalty, honesty, integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So integrity is one of the ones that stuck out to me, is that integrity meaning that when there's no one looking, you still behave the way you should behave, even when no one is looking. Yeah. Having integrity, where people can rely upon you, trust, knowing that you are someone that they can rely upon and confide in. All right, let's go on. You want to add something to that? You good? All right. So we're still on no more hangovers or burnouts, blackouts. So it says you can remember everything and not feel that sense of terror, or waking up and not remember what you said or did the previous night. You don't have to try and wreck your brain to remember who you were with or what happened. You're no longer waking up with that sinking feeling that something terrible might have happened the night before, but you can't quite remember what. You don't have to call or text the people you were with and try to piece together the previous night. Let's go on to the next one, and that is real and authentic relationship is so key. When you're misusing drugs or alcohol, your relationship may be built on substance use. You're more likely to surround yourself with other people who also misuse substances, right? And that can mean you never really get to know people without the influence of these substances. Romantic relationships may also be built on the use of drugs or alcohol and frequently become toxic. I think back, like a lot of female I used to deal with, we used to party together, and like this article says, there was no real genuine relationship, because every time they see me, I'm high. Every time I see them, they high, or we getting high together. So it wasn't really like a clear-minded. We wasn't on the same page, whereas we was doing something productive. Seemed like everything we was doing was counterproductive. You know what I mean? And so now, not being high or using drugs, I have a clear mind, and so I can see my flaws, and I can see their flaws. You know, and they can see my flaws, or vice versa. So it's a good thing, you know, to be able to work on, even in a relationship, even in a marriage. Like I'm currently married, and so even though we don't get high or drink, we have our issues, you know, and that's every relationship. Any good relationship that's worth having, you're gonna go through some things, but you have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to be patient. You got to have love. You got to have forgiveness, and so respect. Man, I wish we could have a big group, man, because I like the participation. Respect is so key. Trust and all that good stuff is so key, and so it doesn't pollute. They use the word toxic. I'm gonna say pollute the relationship. Without the influence of substances, you have the opportunity to enjoy sober relationships while ending toxic relationships. You can form authentic relationships built on mutual respect. There you go. That's your word. Well, interest and understanding, rather than just who is willing or available to drink or use drugs with you. All right. So let's go on to the next one. We want to talk about the ability to cope with hardship. This is so key, because a lot of people go through what they call situational relapse. Things may come up in their lives, and so situations may come up right then and there. You know, people have a tendency to not be able to cope with it. So they may have a
relapse quick to pick up,
quick to use.
Yeah.
You know, and so that is something that we have to be mindful, and so we have to have some coping skills to how to deal with hardship, because hardship is going to come in life. Ain't nothing gonna be no smooth sailing. We might go out the door, you know, out our home, and everything's just hunky dory, but then we may encounter some situation or confrontation may arise, and how do we handle that? Come on in, man. What's happening?
It's late, man.
It's all right, man. Better late than never, man. All right. So Kev, we got Kev here, we got Will here. So we talking about sober isn't boring. Reason to love, sobriety. And so we on the topic of the ability to cope with hardships, right? And so let's see what the article says. When people drink or use drugs, it frequently started as a way to deal with hardship, but becomes a primary coping mechanism. Things that happen in life may feel as if they're too difficult to deal with without the effects of a substance. People may want to feel numb so they can overlook the bad things in their life. That often leads to being unable to see or enjoy the good as well. So, Kat, before you came, we were talking about relapse, how people relapse because of situations may occur. And Will was, he was sharing, people have a tendency to relapse without the proper coping mechanism in place. So the article goes on to say, a life in recovery gives you the unique opportunity to develop healthy coping mechanisms. These mechanisms will pave the way for overcoming hardship without relying on a substance. These healthy coping mechanisms are more sustainable than numbing pain or trying to drink away your past challenges. And so that is when they say numb your pain or trying to drink away your past challenges, it's often known as masking. Masking. And so just like we put on a mask to hide our facial expression, us people who use drugs or alcohol use that to numb the pain or trying to drink away what's going on in the past. And so they call it masking. Try to hide behind something. So we hide behind something. We're not being who we are. We just, going through the motion, what they call faking the funk. And TC program, through therapeutic community program, they call it fake it till you make it, and all that other stuff, man. But we don't want to mask now. We want to deal with it head on when it arrives and find out how can we address those issues. So what are some of the coping skills that we may utilize when hardship comes? Do y'all have any tools that y'all use when hardship arrives?
I think about the situation. It really depends on the situation. Instead of like trying to find an excuse on how not to do something.
Yeah.
Instead of like complaining about it, you just find out the solution. Find out a positive solution.
Yeah.
To take care of the problem.
You know
what I'm saying?
Right.
Like drink, smoke, and stuff like that. Just find out what's the problem, identify the problem, and then find out the solution to fix the problem.
Absolutely. So your perception is that you're going to evaluate the problem first.
Yeah.
Look at it from both sides. How can I deal with it in a good way? How can I deal with it a bad way? Because now we are doing what we can have in this self-talk. When we say evaluating, we having this self-talk.
Where your options?
Where are your options?
Yeah.
But they say options, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Where utilize your options, because we always have an option. In scripture, it talks about God give us a way of escape. And when things happen in life, we have a choice. We can either do the right thing or we can do something that's going to be detrimental. And so I always like to use the scale analogy because there's consequences. So when we look at consequences, we're going to think of two ways.
Right.
I always look at consequences in a bad way. And there's consequences behind that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in my mind, my perception used to be always bad, but there's a positive consequence. We do something, man, that's right, I'm gonna get rewarded. So which one I'd rather get rewarded.
Yeah.
That's like a paycheck. I'd rather come to work, be on time, wake up. So when payday comes, I'm gonna have some money, I can pay the bills, But if I say, man, I'm going to the corner, man, give me a bag, give me a package, or get me whatever they call it, and try to not gotta look over my shoulder, create more problems. I gotta look over my shoulders, see if the stick up kids out there. Now I gotta look for the police. I gotta look for the guys who trying to, probably hide my stash under the bushes. Somebody trying to go in there and get that.
Yeah.
It's too much problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'd rather just go to bed early, wake up early, and come to work and wait on payday because it's better that way. Let's still, huh? You like that? You like that idea? Absolutely. Shoot, I ain't worried about the other stuff. Let's talk about can enjoy a healthy lifestyle. For those who just may be tuning in, we're talking about sober isn't boring. Reason to love sobriety, and one aspect is we can enjoy a healthy lifestyle. Substance misuse doesn't just affect your mental health, it affects your physical health in almost every conceivable way. You may not exercise because you'd rather drink or you're spending time nursing hangovers symptoms. Your sleep patterns may be altered, and you may not think about eating healthy when you're under the influence, right? So I know me myself, I wasn't eating healthy, man. Sometimes I wake up, man, and won't even have a good solid meal. You know what a good solid meal may consist of: grits, eggs, beef, oatmeal, sausage, pancakes, all that good stuff, orange juice. Man, when I was running the street, man, I wake up whatever's available,
Right.
just to try to curb those hunger pains. And then I'm gonna keep it real, and I see people do it even to this day. I know I look back on my life and I said, man, I probably be doing the same thing. If I go in the store, if I ain't got much, man, if I'm in a hurry or whatever, I might grab me a bag of chips.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I see people do it now, and I look at it and I say, man, that ain't healthy, but that's, when we live in that lifestyle, man, unhealthy lifestyle. But we talking about healthy lifestyle,
Right.
how we can, because I was telling my wife this morning, man, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna just share this story. In the room and something, it's like she got me up, man, early in the morning, talking. Stomach was growling. I said, man, I gotta take some sausages. You know what I mean? So at the same time, I'm thinking about a whole cooked meal. Man. I want the sausages, I want the grits you be making. You know what I mean? As opposed to, man, just eating on the run, just a cup of coffee. Right now, man. And so this morning, we ain't had no sausage. I'm keeping it real, audience. We ain't had sausage, but I did have some oatmeal. You know what I'm saying? Some toast. So I ate that, man. And so yeah. So we just saying here. We ain't just talking. What they say, kicking the willy bobo. We ain't just doing that.
In a long time.
You ain't never kicking the willy bobo, right? Yeah. So we ain't just saying kicking the willy bobo. We're talking about staying sober and what it means to be sober. And that is, we're talking about sober isn't boring. Reason to love sobriety. And so the last one that we're going to talk about is feel comfortable in your own skin. It's very important to feel comfortable in your own skin. For many people who don't have a healthy relationship with themselves, substance misuse can be a way to mask that discomfort. We were talking about that earlier, right? Mm-hmm. That word mask. Then they don't have to learn how to love themselves because they're covering their feelings rather than dealing with them. When you live a sober life, you can get to know yourself and feel comfortable in your own skin. Self-love and addiction are two things that can never go hand in hand. All right? And so that's going to do it for now. And as always, see us every Thursday. We're going to be here, our All Recovery meeting. Please feel free to contact us here. The number's on the screen, 856-391-7449 or 1-800-236-2448. And as always, how can we help you with your recovery today? And remember this question here: what does recovery mean to you? Ask yourself, what does recovery mean to you? And for now, signing out. Take care.